Alright, we're going to demonstrate the use of Docstar. So once you have scanned the documents from your digital copier, you would then go ahead and log into Docstar and then go to your inbox. Once you have gotten to your particular inbox, such as the property management, we would then see all the documents that you had scanned in from the copier. We can now select multiple documents and then select the auto file, which would allow us to batch file all of these documents that we have selected. If you're wanting to manually file these documents, you can select one file or multiple files again, and then the second option is manual file. If you just need to send one of these documents out as an email, you then have the option to send to and print the document or email the document or pages of a document. You have several other options up here in the toolbar, like add to a folder, classify the document. Right now the document is classified as property management decline and using a template called property management application. If you needed to merge documents together, we could highlight two documents and select the merge. If we need to delete documents, we can select the delete and then of course exit. So right now we're going to go ahead and select one file, and we're going to go ahead and select the manual file option. And when the manual file window comes open, you will see that you have a data screen, which then is populating the information that you had given it for classification, if it needs to be an approval of a document, so you can have approvals, or people that just need to be notified and monitored of this document, the date that it was processed, and what the priority of it is. Of course, you see what inbox it is, so if you needed to move a document from one inbox to another, you can move it. And then of course the template, property management. And then you have running the template, which will process the template of instructions of asking you some questions, which we'll get into. And then you have review for reviewing documentation information that you've done. Return to inbox. If you don't want to process it now, you can return it. And then file permanently. Once you've run the template, then you will file it permanently because you've changed the title and indexes. You wouldn't file it permanently now because it only has what was given from the copier, which is, not anything intelligent. Down bottom you can see that if it's in a workflow process, you can see if there's an approval person that needs to approve it. And then you have the information section, which tells you when the document was scanned, if the document was modified, and then last accessed. So as you can see, is today we've accessed this document, and it shows you that the person has logged in. Now once we run the template and it renames the title and keywords, it will change the modified date because we've actually modified certain indexes in the system. Also, if you modify by putting a sticky note or an annotation on a document, which I'll show you here in a little bit. And of course, if you need to rotate pages, you can rotate all the pages in a set of documents, or rotate one page at a time. And you would then go to each page, and once you go to each page, then if you need to rotate it, you can rotate that page. So we'll now go back and run the template to process this, so you can see how you process a document. So it asks you to enter the property address. As you start typing the property address, it will snap in the property address that was already in the drop-down list. If the property address is not in this list, you can type in the information and it will then ask you to add it to the database for the first time, and you would do so. So we'll select Cherokee Bluff for this demonstration, and then it will ask us for the applicant 1 on this document. Again, if you have a name in the system, it will then populate it. If there's a name that's not in the system, such as John Doe, we would then basically say OK. So I will put it as it says here, last name first, Joe Don. Okay, and then we hit OK, and it says, do you want to add it? And we say yes, and it adds it to the system. Applicant 2, the same thing. If you need to add a second applicant, you can go ahead and do so, or you can skip this question. If you found out that you had put applicant 1 incorrectly, you can hit previous and go back to that previous question. So we'll go ahead and skip this question. Then it says choose the owner's name, last name, first name. So we can go ahead and choose, say for an example, Martin John, and hit OK. Then at this time, the document will then process the pages, as you see it flipping through all the pages, and then it will come back to the data screen, and you will see on this main section that it populates the actual title, keywords, custom field information, and you will then see how it processes it. So we'll give it a second here. And as you can see, this document is a 41-page document, so it takes a little bit to go through all the pages. And once it's done, it will then come back to putting the location, the applicant's name, type of document it is, an application, and then all the custom field information that we told it to put in. Once that is filled out and done, we would select the File Permanently button. Once we select File Permanent, the document will then disappear and be removed from my inbox, and then now you can select the next document to process. If we were going ahead and doing a batch process, say we select these 3 documents, we can go ahead and say auto file, and the difference here is that you don't see the data screen results. So when you have it in the auto file in batch mode, you would go ahead and select start, and it would start batching the first document of a set of 3 that has a page count of 15 for this first document. And then it will ask you for the address and the questions pertinent to that first document. And then it will ask you for the second one, and it'll ask you for the third one. Once it's done with those batches, it will file those documents. It doesn't show you the results of those documents. As you see in the manual window, you can see what information has been put into the custom fields, and you can then verify it and then select File Permanently. So right now, if I'm going to go ahead and cancel this document, I can cancel it, and it would go on to the second selection document. If I cancel the batch, as I'm going to do right now, it's going to ask me to cancel the auto filing, and I'll say yes. And it would come back to my inbox letting me know that I have rejected and canceled out of those documents, and then I select OK. So that is how you would auto file or manual file documents for the property management. If I go ahead and exit out of here, now it's time to go ahead and retrieve a document. If I go ahead and go to the retrieve, I will automatically be defaulted to the what's called text retrieval, which is a global search in the system, and I can say I'm looking for the Cherokee document, and when I select that Cherokee document and hit retrieve, it's going to go out and find all documents in the system that have Cherokee in it. And as you can see, it will have a list of those documents, and the list of those documents would be that the most recent document would be on top, and that most recent document is because it gives you in order as documents were scanned in and filed to the system. So we can also do a search for documents by hitting the clear button and selecting a specific template that was used. So if we go down to the P's in property management, you will see property agreement, property application, move out, and so on. So we know that we use the property management application, and maybe I want to find all property management applications that were done in a specific time frame. So you can say, give me everything that's been scanned in and created in property management today, or yesterday, last 7 days, last 30 days, and it would then go out and retrieve all documents that were done during that time. Again, you will see that it will pull up the documents that are still in your inbox to be processed, which haven't been changed to titles and keywords, and then the documents that have been processed and filed to the system. And as you can see, is the Cherokee Bluff document is the top document that was just processed. And if we need to then review this document, we can then click on it, and the document will then come up. Once the document has appeared, you can then see the information, of course, as far as what has been indexed. You can select the enlarged document, which gives you a full screen. And then at this time, you can select the annotation toolbar. In the annotation toolbar, you can select, highlighting sections, telling, say this section is important, highlight it. You can also change these attributes and the coloring font to red, blue, green. By default, it's yellow. You can select an arrow and say, maybe, read here, put a huge arrow. You can change the size of these arrows also. So you might say, hey, it needs to be a little bit smaller in the size. Maybe the type of arrow needs to be maybe a thin arrow, and select it. So then you can put a sticky note. You can say, hey, I want to put a sticky note with this little arrow that maybe says, sent copy to Martin, and it would put that information on the document. So these annotation toolbar information is very important, and could be very helpful. You also have a redaction button that we see a lot of. So for an example, if we go to page 2, you will see that there's a lot of handwriting on this document, and maybe this information up top you do not want somebody to see that information. Well, you can have the redaction option and basically come up here and highlight that section, and you can change this section to the color attribute white, and it will white out that section. So now, as you can see, we've changed that attribute and have changed whiting out that section, and now maybe I want to email this page out to somebody or print this document. I can then print, fax, or email this document. So that is the capabilities of that. Now, if I want to go ahead and always see annotations, there's a little button that says show me the original and show me the annotations. And by law, you have to do this to be able to always show the original document. The markups and annotations are only an overlay on top of the original for mainly internal purposes. So if I select this and then select the box, I can go ahead and delete these options that I have chosen and get rid of some of these annotations if I want to, if you have permission to do so. So each user, if they have permissions, will be able to delete or add annotations if you have the rights to. So we can actually give rights to people that can add annotations but not delete annotations. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this document and then close out. And from there, that gives us the capabilities of scanning, filing a document, and then retrieval of a document with the capabilities of annotation.